on the premiere edition of the Flint Hills Film Collaborative.
If you would have been in Manhattan, I'd have known you. And then she said to me, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Manhattan, Kansas.
So I just decided to do a series on birds, and I really enjoyed it.
Hamilton, on the other hand, the all-time winningest coach in the state's history, just keeps on rolling. 357 wins against 83 losses. The Eagles will go to 13-0. They have won 7 state championships, 9 runner-up finishes.
I get in the car. It's time to play, and I know what I got to do, and all the work's over, and it's time to have the fun.
There's a little restaurant near Tuttle Creek where worries are absent and reggae is abundant. This destination has been a well-kept secret for over a decade. The Little Grill has a friendly staff, authentic cuisine, and its own unique love story. Its roots hail from Jamaica, and the dream was built right here in Manhattan, Kansas.
I like the free spirit of the music.
I think reggae is your favorite music, isn't it? The way it makes you feel. You put a lot of heart and soul into reggae.
Yeah, well, it's the music I've known since I was a kid. I was on the Sabbath school choir. Didn't really take it serious. Then I started working in the hotels, and I would see these guys. They would come and they call it cabaret shows. They would come and sing for 45 minutes or an hour, entertain the people. I said to myself, I think I could do that. Because I was always singing. My mom used to say, son, would you quit singing for a while? Because I'd be singing in the shower. I'd be, whatever I was doing, I'd be
Not
singing.
the only one that does that?
Started playing when I was about 19 and doing guest and staff shows, and then I started getting little shows, making a little extra money. And I went to Mexico as an entertainer and ended up working for Palace Resorts for about 4.5 years. Just entertaining, working maybe 2.5 hours a night, and that's where I met my wife.
Vacation.
And she wouldn't leave me alone, so.
Oh my God. Stop.
So she said, why don't you come to Manhattan? And I said, Manhattan? I don't think so. She said, why? I said, I've been there many times before. She said, you're a liar. If you would have been in Manhattan, I'd have known you. And then she said to me, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Manhattan, Kansas.
And we corresponded back and forth, and I went back to Mexico 3 or 4 times, and eventually I went to Jamaica to meet his family, and then he came here and we got married. That was in
99 of February.
February of 99.
It's getting worse.
If I get the opportunity to do a little place, I'd show people what service is.
In 2002, we told
February.
Tootie McCoy next door that we'd like to try a little restaurant here. We didn't know if it would be successful. We just said, I'd rather try and fail to not have tried at all, because I could always say, hey, I did it and it worked out, or it didn't, but always wondering what if. It's just not in my, I just pretty much go for it on things. We went to Sam's Club and and put our first food bill on a credit card. Every penny we got, we'd buy a chair or a table until we could fill the place up. And then he just had this idea that if I serve good food and take good care of the people and give them good entertainment, they'll come. And it did happen, so.
You know, we call it the little grill for a reason. It's because the grill is a little grill.
I've seen him out there in the snow, the rain, just cooking up big batches of chicken. What, you started out cooking how many pounds?
I wouldn't tell people
Now
that.
he's just cooking like
Yeah,
a lot of chicken. They love the jerk chicken.
So we have a KC and we have a burger. But the most awesome burger is the jerk burger. I can't really make enough of it. It takes so much time. It comes out as special.
We kind of call it Jamaican. We love the reggae. We love just the whole vibe of it, and you come in, we want you to relax and take it easy, and like we say, you know, just everything's irie, which means everything's just okay. Just, you know, don't worry, chill out. It may take a few minutes to get your food, but have a cocktail, relax, and that's kind of what we're all about out here.
Quite a few people told me it's a destination place.
It's kind of the best kept secret, I think. We have people every day walk through the door that didn't know we were here.
It was a dream. This was a dream and it's coming through. So all I need is life and health to make all the dreams come through, you know.
Ann Carter is a local artist with a knack for welcoming people into her home. Her art is recognizable for its folk style that shows her sense of humor, as well as her empathy for the human condition. Her current project is in a unique style called encaustic and is reflective of her uncommon life experiences. Ann is a single woman working to support herself with her art, but that's not where her story ends.
I still wasn't sure when I started it. I liked it. All these people were so enthused about it. I didn't know why they were interested in it. This friend, Terry, she and I turned 60 this past year. So for our 60th birthdays, we decided we'd do an art workshop. She found this encaustic one. It grew on me, and then we came back, and the one image I'd done that I liked best at the workshop had some birds in it. And so I just decided to do a series on birds, and I really enjoyed it. Until I started this series, I wasn't aware that birds have always been special in my life. And it was winter, and I was sitting in my sunroom, and I had a great life, and I traveled, and I did my art, I had friends, I had plenty of money. I lived frugally, but I had everything I needed. And a little finch flew into the glass door and was stunned and on the deck. And I held her in my hand and warmed her up, and she eventually went outside and flew away. And somehow I just felt then that I had to bring more living things into my life, into my immediate life. And so that, I think, started the whole process. I described it in the book as bungee jumping, that you're just terrified and then you jump. At some point I had a really comfortable life, but for me, I felt something lacking and I wanted more. The experience of having a family was what I wanted.
No, she was wearing them.
But are you reading them?
If not, I'll kill her for them. Not really. Right. They're my Nikes.
Why does she wear them? Did you take them off?
What did you loan them
I just assumed, like many women, I'd get married and have kids. And then when I reached 40 and wasn't married, I kind of gave up on the idea of having children. And then I thought, well, that's crazy. If I want children, I'll figure out a way. And a friend of mine sent me an article about adopting from China. And she said she and her husband were thinking about it. And they had 2 children. And I thought, well, why are they going to have another child? And then I thought, well, I can do it. Then I decided I want a second child. When I went to Vietnam, I was wanting to get an older child because of my age, and it just happened that I ended up with an infant, which was not my plan, but that's what happened. Vietnam, it has often to do with just cases of poverty. In my daughter's case, it was a teenage mother, which would be a shame to the village. A poor family, which at that time in Vietnam might mean really poor. She had a stepfather who didn't want to deal with this child, and so she gave up the child, which was legal to do there, and she gave birth and turned the child over to an orphanage.
Someone else. So he obviously has 36
There's a friend of mine, and we dated years ago, and then we became friends after we stopped dating. And he's become a father figure to them, and I think that's very important. I think it's hard not to have some male figure. I've often said I'd rather they have no father than, say, a father who's neglectful or abusive or never there, has abandoned them. But I think it's very good that they have a male figure in their lives.
Well, that's Wayne, Helen, and me, and I was really little back then.
I've always been concerned about the line that crosses from emotional to sentimentality. And I think having children has allowed me to accept that it's okay to show emotion. I think with some of my birds now, some of them are whimsical, but when I do the birds, I like it if there's a sweetness about them. And I think possibly 20 years ago I would have worried about that. I think when you're around children, you just accept that it's okay to say certain things that you wouldn't have said before. It makes you very vulnerable, which is probably a good thing. It takes away your sense of egotism. When you say, my child in the grocery store would never act like that, and then your child does act like that, and you become less judgmental toward other people. Get a job, you don't like it, you quit. You go to another country, you move, you get a child, and there is no turning back. In both cases, I just had this strong feeling that I ended up with the children I was supposed to get. So, I don't want to say their life is better here. I think what makes it better is they have a family.
As veterans at Kansas State University, we possess a unique collection of experiences and accomplishments. Serving our country has taken many of us all over the world. We are proud of what we have achieved in our time in the service. Coming from a structured military environment, life in college can seem fast and hectic. That is why we formed the K-State University Military Veterans Group. A group of student veterans supporting each other as we all work toward our academic and life goals. The group was formed to give those student veterans an anchor at the university, a place where they can talk and be listened to by students they can relate to. The more students that join, the better the group will be. Kansas State University Military Veterans, a small group that can make a difference.
Bill Snyder, Bill Jackson, John Wooden, and Vince Lombardi. Their names are synonymous with success, and not by coincidence. These coaches are known for getting the most out of their respective teams. In Kansas, C.J. Hamilton, coach of the Silver Lake Eagles, is one of those coaches. Coach Hamilton has led Silver Lake, his hometown, to 17 state title appearances and a remarkable 37-season run as head coach. He is a coach that has an entire community, young and old, current and former players, expecting success.
C.J. Hamilton, 7 state titles, 1981, 84, 89, 91, 97, 2006, and 2010. And also has 9 second-place finishes. If Silver Lake wins, this would be their 10th state championship game in the last 11 years.
You know, back then it was a kind of a philosophy, and even my instructors at Washburn said, you never go back to your home school. Everybody knows you. It's a bad situation. Well, it's worked out well for me, and I think that philosophy has kind of changed over the years.
No regrets by anybody. I don't want an underclassmen to have a regret to see. No regrets. Get after the rest. Let's go!
That brings up second down for the Eagles.
When I came here, the staff was in transition quite a bit. There was a lot of coaches that were in and out of the school, and I was just out of college. I went to high school here, first of all, and just out of college, and wanted to get into coaching. And only the selling point I had to do to really at that time to get the job is just guarantee them that I'd be here for a while. And it was a pretty simple process because they were tired of coaches coming in and out. You know, we played a lot of young kids that first year. I think we had 5 seniors out and maybe a total of like 30-some kids. And that first year was a good year because I had to learn. You know, it wasn't one of those that came easy. It's one of those where we had to, okay, this isn't just walk in and do it. You've got to build a system. And it made me realize that. And, you know, that first year we were 4-5, I think. Second year we were 7-2. Third year we were 9-0. That first year of being 4 wins and 5 losses made me realize that there's more to this gig than just coaching on Friday nights.
Corner. It's what he scored on the first time, and he's going to make it again. 5 touchdowns. Kruger on the quarterback sweep goes 33 yards to the end zone, and Greg Akagi, that was right by you. Boy, I thought it might be a gain of about 8. All of a sudden, Kruger hit the Jets and was gone. C.J. Hamilton, on the other hand, the all-time winningest coach in the state's history, just keeps on rolling. 357 wins against 83 losses. The Eagles will go to 13-0. They have won 7 state championships, 9 runner-up finishes, and, of course, this will be their 10th 3A state championship game in the last 11 years.
I just think when you're a tradition-rich school that it's almost built in that you're going to win. It's easier because the kids come in. Every class that comes in wants to beat what the class did before. Marty Fanestiel had a great career at Washburn, just finished up last year. Great athlete. His 4 years at Silver Lake, he played for 4 state championships. That's amazing. He won 1, 2006. And so the next group, you know, Marty's class leaves. The next group, they want to do the same thing. What CJ brings to the table is there's discipline, and it's not in a crazy way. I think it's really more the respect that everybody in the school has for him, that I don't know if he has to do a whole lot to bring that out. I mean, it's like he's already earned the respect. He doesn't have to keep doing it, but he's the same guy that he was. He's just older and he moves a little bit slower than he used to. You know, before state championship games, after state titles, whatever. And it's never about him. He never talks about him. It's always about the kids of that particular team. And I think that's really special in the way he looks at it.
It's kids that I relate. It's hard for me to stay away from the kids. I mean, that's the bottom line. There's always, you know, there's been opportunities. I've had opportunities to go other places, but I enjoy it's where I grew up. It's comfortable. And some coaches say, well, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone to see what you really, you know, how good a coach you really are. But I think it's harder really to repeat, do the same, you know, live up to the same expectation. I think that's more difficult than going into that first year and all they expect to do is win a few games. To me, of course, I'm in that situation, and so I think it's going to be difficult. Somebody who's on the other end of that situation and sees the kind of teams that they got and have to develop that. But that's kind of the fun, is the journey. It's not where I end up or where the team ends up. It's the journey. That's why I say that's why practice is my favorite time, because I can enjoy the game. I can enjoy the kids. So the journey is what's the most important part.
All right, seniors, it's a sad but happy time. Let's play the last game on that field. So you got no regrets. I got no regrets. No regrets whatsoever.
Many families have traditions where they bond and spend their quality time together. They can be simple things, such as fishing, seeing movies, or going out camping. However, some families have ideas of their own for a good time, and for the Markleys, that good time can be found in the world of Demolition Derby.
I've got one thing in mind, and that's being the last car moving and hopefully being the guy taking the last 4 or 5 cars out. I guess I've been pretty luckier than most guys because I've won probably well over 100 shows. Once the green flag dropped, you don't know where. I mean, you're total at ease. At least I am. But it's a second job. It's as much as we work on the cars and everything, it's very time consuming. I would say it's more of a lifestyle. I mean, you've really got to enjoy it or hate it. Probably started helping build them and get them stripped out and ready to be prepped probably when I was, I'd say, close to 12, 14, pretty easy. First year, most places let you run 16, so that was the first year I ran.
The fair decided they was going to have one here in Abilene, and our dad, he come up with a couple cars for my older brother and myself to drive, so we fixed them up and we started Demo Derby.
The Abilene Derby started in '74. We participated, my oldest brother participated in the very first one.
Yeah, somebody in the family has drove in the Abilene Demolition Derby since that time. And a lot of times there was more than one of us in it.
And then it just grew from there. So, I mean, and ran with my brothers, my nephew Shane, other nephews. We've all competed together and against each other. In the 90s, we were probably going through 15, well, between the two of us, 18 cars a summer. At times it was a lot of fun to go out there knowing you had one guy you could trust, but then when it came down to the end, you was going to see who was the better driver that night. So that was always a goal, to make it to the end with both of you and then figure it out from there. And quite a few times it come down to first and second. And back when that was going on, we'd put on a show. We didn't load them on the trailer and bring them back. We finished them off. From brothers and sisters, it's just what we did. You know, some families grew up around at the dirt racetrack or pavement track, and we just this is what we did. It started out as a cheap hobby and everybody just kind of got in it, and then it grew from there. So it just happened.
Well, the winning aspects are real fun, and just the camaraderie with the guys we got. Like these guys down here is when I kind of slowed down on Derby in this last few years, and the guys we got here now are the guys I actually started building with and built a lot of Derby cars with me, Chad, Casey, and Todd and them. This is back to where it used to be. Just rules are a little more extreme now than what we used to run with. It's fun. Just down here building cars and just hanging out, pretty much.
They know that if they help me out, eventually if they need something, they'll get it back. It comes full circle down here pretty regularly. And it's not just that way with this family. The whole Derby world is made up of families just like this. It's got in their blood, and that's what they've done. And then usually somebody stepped up and took it a step further than most of them, and just happened to be me.
He's good, I can tell you that. I mean, I've beat him before, but he's, in my opinion, one of the best in the United States for sure. I mean, I've ran against a lot of the guys he's ran against, and he can get in your head, I can tell you that. He's good.
At any point in time, I can pretty much tell you what the car's going to do or did, and what point in the heat or feature it did it.
He can look at you and do like the opposite what you think he's going to do. I mean, it's crazy what he does in one of these cars. I've watched him and ran against him for years.
When you first step in it and you first go out there, I mean, you're nervous and you got butterflies in your stomach and you're going thinking, for the first time, what did I get myself into, But once you're out there and you get going, you forget about it and you just do what you got to do.
I feel no different from when I started to right now when I climb out of a car. Actually, sometimes I feel better because I'm looser after getting jarred around for half hour. I'm so comfortable in the car. I mean, some guys get all amped up and everything. I guess I'm just the opposite. I feel totally at ease, and I've taken naps in lineups before, just sitting there relaxing, waiting for the next heat to pull out or something. It doesn't bother me once I get in the car. I mean, it's time to play, and I know what I got to do, and all the work's over, and it's time to have the fun. The sport's changed so much in the last 10 years that it's a challenge to keep up with the rest of the competitors. They take out the average driver and the average farm kid or whatever that wants to try to start competing. There's no way possible they can just come build a car and compete. Everybody stepped up their program, and it's a very competitive world right now in the derbies. The cars are hard enough, you can't really beat the car, so you've got to beat the driver, and sometimes that includes injuring the driver. The way the sport's going, it's getting more dangerous by the year. The cars are lighter, faster. It's going to be dangerous before too long. It really is. When I started, it was a challenge to get to that point. Now that I'm probably one of the veterans, it's just to know that you're out there, and most of the guys are either gunning at you or they don't want much to do with you because they know what the outcome might be towards the end. What draws me in now is I'm luckier than most, so I know I've got a pretty good chance to be in the top at the end of the night. I've threatened to quit many years, but something just keeps changing, or there's a new challenge out there, so we regroup and go after that challenge. To go to the national events and be at the top there is the only thing that's kept me going. I used to just like the thrill of the victory. I mean, it's getting to where a couple of years ago it really lost its fun factor. I really had to think about if I was going to continue on doing this or pick up a hobby and doing something else. But it's starting to come back around. I mean, after 20 years of doing it, I guess it'll do that to you.